And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And, of course, you are with us all around the world in multiple venues that you have the opportunity to watch and listen from. You're with us, of course, on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as finding us on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, once the shows go live, you can hop into the archives and find us on Amazon Music as well as Audible and iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So however you are finding us, be it live or be it on playback, we appreciate your support, and I can't thank you enough all around the world for the love that you've given to me, to the show, to our guests. I truly appreciate it so very much. We got a ton of stuff to get into today. We're going to hop right into it inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We're going to be jumping into the annoying moment of the week, which starts off every Friday broadcast. The last one we did was from the great state of Florida, and now we're going to be bringing you another annoying moment of the week this morning, proudly presented by Carvel, DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. Then we're going to get into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, and that is proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, both easily located for you right off the highway here in Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York, and Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. So you can find them very easily just by jumping off the highway. So we appreciate you so very much. And then we'll get into the top of the second hour. The top dog of the week is at the top of the second hour. That's proudly presented by Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, both of East Syracuse. We'll get into that at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then I'll be joined by Bob Beretta for a very special addition to this week. We already gave you something inside of Dolphin Time. We gave you that conversation with Jeff Lonzak, the head coach of the men's and women's tennis teams at LeMoyne College, as they head into their historic first ever NEC postseason with the opportunity to win an NEC championship in men's and women's tennis, which starts today. And so we'll be speaking with Bob Beretta. He's going to be joining us to talk about that tennis postseason, spring sports success in general, and the expansion of the NEC. The conference that LeMoyne joined less than a year ago has expanded and added 2 full members since LeMoyne joined, with the independent Division I school, Chicago State, as well as a D2 reclassifier like LeMoyne, which is Mercyhurst University. So very excited to share that with you, that conversation with Bob Beretta that's going to happen live, picture-in-picture, as we discuss all of those topics with the LeMoyne College Athletics Director. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on today's broadcast, and we're going to start things off, as I said, with the annoying moment.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy I guess so.
So the annoying moment of the week for this week, there's a couple scoops of it, and it's a little it's a little bit different than I think any story that I've ever told here on the show. So the annoying moment of the week for this week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Did you know? Now cicadas are gross to a lot of people, right? They look very just not great. And cicadas, just so you know, little background information on some cicadas here. Now, they are periodical cicadas. So now it says invaders from underground are coming, and it's the biggest bug emergence in centuries. And I'm literally watching a cicada move around. It looks like somebody who has it looks like a person with a walking stick here. Trillions of evolution's bizarro wonders, red-eyed periodical cicadas that have pumps in their heads and jet-like muscles in their rears are about to emerge. This was came to us on April 1st in numbers not seen in decades, crawling out from underground every 13 or 17 years with a collective song as loud as jet engines. The periodical cicadas are nature's kings of the calendar. Now, they have this. Now, I'm looking at this. They stay buried year after year. I'm looking at pictures that you don't need to see until they surface and take over a landscape, covering houses with shed exoskeletons and making the ground crunchy. That's disgusting. So, an unusual cicada double dose is about to invade a couple parts of the United States. This was back on April 1st, they said this, in what University of Connecticut cicada expert John Cooley called Cicadageddon. The last time these, oh my goodness, back in 1803? And so the last time that we've seen something come out like this was back in 1803. Thomas Jefferson wrote about cicadas in his garden book, called them locusts. But they are not. So their expected, let's see here, area of double dose brood emergence. My goodness. So we're looking at them going to the Midwest and then scattering in South Carolina area, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, a lot in the Midwest though. Good amount there. Now, let's see what it says here. We quote, "We've got trillions of these amazing living organisms, come out of the earth, climb up on trees, and it's just a unique experience, a sight to behold. It's like an entire alien species living underground our feet in some prime numbers, and then some prime number years they come out to say hello," end quote. That's great to know. And I love how they said that it's like a beautiful thing. So they're like, this is great. It's great that this alien species comes out. Such a unique experience. Well, I guess it is a unique experience. So it does. Now, they are sometimes mistaken for locusts, and they're more annoying rather than causing biblical economic damage. They can hurt young trees and some fruit crops, but it's not widespread and it can be prevented. The largest geographic brood in the nation, called Brood 29, which is used in Roman numerals, it's X1X, and coming out every 13 years, is about to march through the southeast, having already created countless boreholes in the red Georgia clay. It's a sure sign of the coming cicada occupation. They emerge when the ground warms to 64 degrees, which is 17.8 degrees Celsius, which is happening earlier than it used to because of climate change, entomologists said. The bugs are brown at first, but darker as they, oh, these things look gross, darker as they mature. Soon after the insects appear in large numbers in Georgia and the rest of the southeast, cicada cousins that come out every 17 years will inundate Illinois. They are brood, I'm getting like chills. They are brood 20, they are brood 13, XIII. So there you go. The quote from University of Maryland entomologist Mike Ropp said, quote, "You've got one very widely distributed brood in brood 19, but you have a very dense, historically abundant brood in the Midwest, your brood 13. And when you put them together, you would have more than anywhere else any other time, which Paula Shrewsbury said, University of Maryland entomologist, and when you put these two together, you would have more than anywhere else any other time, end quote. So the hideaway cicadas are found only in the eastern United States and a few tiny other places. There are 15 different broods that come out every few years on 17 and 13-year cycles. These two broods may actually overlap, but probably not interbreed in a small area near central Illinois. The numbers that will come out this year, averaging around 1 million per acre over hundreds of millions of acres across 16 states, are mind-boggling. Easily hundreds of trillions, maybe quadrillions. I've never seen that word before in my life. Maybe quadrillion amount of cicadas will be out this year. Ugh. It's so scary. And so an even bigger adjacent joint emergence will be when the two largest broods, 19 and 14, come out together in 2076. That is the Cicada Palooza, is what they're calling it, end quote. The origin of some of the astronomical cicada numbers can likely be traced to evolution. Fat, slow, and tasty. This is disgusting. Who wrote this? Those words. Fat, slow, and tasty. Periodical cicadas make ideal meals for birds who eat them. And Mike Ropp, who I mentioned before, he eats them as well. His school put out a cicada cookbook called Cicadalicious. I'm not making this up. But there are too many. Oh boy, there are too many for them to be eaten to extinction. Well, I guess if there's quadrillions, I didn't know that was a word. So birds everywhere will feast, their bellies will be full, and once again the cicadas will emerge triumphant. And that coming from Ropp in a quote. Oh my Lord, this is crazy. This is crazy. Absolutely, yeah, these things just look very sickening. So this is just insane. There's so much information about this. And all the stuff that I read you, there's so much more. And okay, here we go. You'll like this. Cicadas are, people are like, this is a sports show. Hey, the annoying moment of the week allows me to talk about anything that I consider, annoying, funny, disturbing. And so that's what we're talking about right now. For those of you that are just tuning into the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. This is horrifying. Okay, we're talking about cicadas, and you haven't found out. This is the thing. I am giving you all of this information, fully knowing in the back of my mind that there's some bombshell I'm going to drop on you in this conversation at the end of the annoying moment of the week that you're not ready for, because I'm not ready for it. So, I mean, I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to tell you what it says. I'm going to tell you right now, you are not prepared for what's about to come. So and you haven't seen my face through this whole thing. So now I'll show you my face so that you can see my reaction. But yes, so the annoying moment of the week, and there's two annoying moments of the week, and they're vastly different, but we're going to have some fun with this morning. We're talking about cicadas. They're supposed to be coming to a Midwest near you and a southern southeast near you as well. So we're getting into exactly what this means for those of you living in the area. If you didn't know, trillion is a big word. Quadrillions is a bigger word. And that could be the amount of cicadas that you are going to see in the United States of America coming up not too far away. But there's more. Oh, wait. There's more. So we have to get into more about the cicadas. And they're not locusts, mind you. For those of you that think they're locusts, they're not locusts. So so some of you that think the end of the world's coming, you might still think it is after what I tell you at the end, but let's continue this story, shall we? So in continuation of this beautiful story about the cicadas, where is it here? Oh, here it is. So cicadas are strange in that they feed on the tree's xylem, which carry water and some nutrients. The pressure inside the xylem is lower than outside, but a pump in the cicada's head, allows the bug to get fluid that it otherwise wouldn't be able to get out of the tree. I'm really happy I'm talking about this in the morning. There's people eating breakfast right now that have stopped, and I understand. The cicada gets so much fluid that it has a lot of liquid waste to get rid of. It does so with a special muscle that creates a jet of urine that flows faster than in most any other animal. Gross. And TJ Rawls in Macon, Georgia, he was planting roses and came across a locust and said, I think it will be an exciting thing. It will be bewildering with all their noises, end quote. I don't know why people are calling this exciting. Disturbing, that makes sense. But I haven't told you the craziest part to the story yet. I haven't. And the craziest part to the story is that not only are these cicadas coming in trillions and potentially quadrillions, and they come through these holes. So when you see these like holes, they literally come up from underneath us every 13 to 17 years. And some people have referred to them, as I just read in this, as the alien species that lives below us. Okay? Now roll with me on this for a second. There's something else about cicadas. There's a deadly sexually transmitted disease that cicadas get, okay? Well, there's quadrillions of them, and there's got to be there's a reason why. So they, they get a little, I don't see nothing wrong. And so they play a little R. Kelly, and that was a bad connection that I made. I'm not going to talk about it. But anyways, cicadas get sexually transmitted diseases. So there you go, human race. It's not just you guys. And so they get sexually transmitted diseases. And there's a sexually transmitted disease that is turning cicadas into zombies. I'm not making this. I'm reading this. This is from the Associated Press, okay? This is not some like backwoods thing. This is from the Associated Press, folks. Welcome to This Morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. If you thought last week's annoying moment was annoying, I was not prepared for an annoying moment like this. I wasn't. I genuinely wasn't. But, you look stuff up and you find out information. So cicadas are now becoming zombies due to a sexually transmitted disease that is within their species. Shall I read more? Sure, why not? Why not disturb us all a little bit more? Now, Cooley said, quote, it's a real problem that is, quote, even stranger than science fiction. This is a sexually transmitted zombie disease, end quote. Now, there's areas in the Midwest where up to 10% of the cicadas were infected with this. The fungus, I gotta read you more about it though. That's not all the information about it that's going to disturb you. We have to get, this is disgusting. So where's the rest of the information on this thing? Oh, here we go. Now, it's a white fungus that takes over the male. Their gonads are torn from their body, and chalky spores are spread around to nearby other cicadas. The insects are sterilized, not killed. This way, the fungus can use the cicada to spread to others. Cooley said, quote, they're completely at the mercy of the fungus. They're walking dead, end quote. So if you thought for a moment that cicadas, and that was University of Connecticut entomologist John Cooley when I said Cooley, if you thought cicadas were gross and you thought hearing that they were coming in the trillions or potentially quadrillions was disturbing, I want to remind you that cicadas also get sexually transmitted diseases, and when the male gets the sexually transmitted disease, the disease tears its gonads from the body, tears them off, right? This disease rips them off and then sends out spores to nearby cicadas so that it can spread the disease. So whoever gets it shoots out these things like darts, and that's how I picture it, and sends these spores to other males whose gonads get torn off, and they continue to spread the fungus as walking dead. So it's not enough that their gonads get torn off. They have to live afterwards as walking dead to spread the disease. So they're loud, cicadas. They live underground. There's millions to trillions to quadrillions of them. There's different broods of them. They live underneath us. They come out once every 13 to 17 years. There's different types like brood 19 and brood 13 and this and that, whatever. They come out in the many. Like I said, they're loud, and now they have a sexually transmitted disease that causes them to become zombies. So a quote-unquote alien-like species that, they said it's like an alien species that lives among us. So that's nice. So an alien species that has a sexually transmitted disease that creates them, that makes them zombies. Not creates them, but turns them into zombies. Is that an annoying moment of the week for you? That is disturbing. Cicadas are big and gross. They live underneath us for over a decade. There's different broods of them. And so at different times, different ones come out. And when they come out, they can just take over a house and be all over it and be loud. And when there's quadrillions of them, obviously they're getting their freak on. And now they have a sexually transmitted disease to make things even more fun that turns them into zombies and rips off the gonads of the male cicadas. Yay. So, what did cicadas do to nature? My goodness, to have a disease like that. Whew. So, that's the annoying moment of the week. Happy Friday. You can pick up your sandwich now. My other annoying moment of the week, which is vastly different, is that I went to a wine place, and I'll leave it unnamed because it's not a bad place and I want it to succeed. I want to describe the ridiculousness of how some things, price wise and whatnot. So this place has they don't have food, right? They might have a little bit of snacky things, but they don't have food. And here's my thing. If people are going to be consuming alcohol for potentially hours at a time, you have to have food. You have to have bread, right? Something to soak up the fact that this person's just drinking the wine. So you have a place that sells alcohol to people that probably drove there, and there's no actual menu of food that I saw that you can consume while you're drinking alcohol. So that's an annoying moment of the week because it's not safe. The second part of it is the fact that I was there with somebody else and they got a full glass of wine, which is never a full glass. Let's say a glass is like this, right? So a full glass should be halfway, and then a half glass is, it should be a good amount, right? It should be a good amount of wine. If you took one glass of wine, let's say it's this big, and you took their full glass and their two half glasses and my two half glasses, and you poured them all together, it wouldn't even fill up a full glass of wine. And it cost me $45. $45 to not even fill up a full glass of wine. Where I can go buy Moscato at the store, the ones that I love, for $14 for the whole bottle. And I could fill up that glass as much as I want to. I never do. I think I filled up a glass one time, and it takes me hours to drink it because I'm not a big drinker. I've never been drunk by choice, and it's just that's just not something I've ever wanted to do in my life. And Casey Anthony's trending on X right now. That's good. That's another annoying moment of the week. Why now, Casey Anthony? So, but why right now? We just talked about cicadas, but I feel like Twitter, which is now called X, I feel like they know it's my annoying moment of the week, and they're like, hey, Dan, if you look at Twitter's trending topics or X's trending topics, there's always something disturbing. It's something about the end of the world. It's something that's anti-faith. It's something that is, about some murderer that, may be murdered again, or they're in jail and something happened. It's a lot. I think one time I turned on Twitter, which is now called X, and I found it was all good news. And I was like, well, this will be short-lived. But these are the things trending on X right now. Casey Anthony, Kentucky, Bob Costas, the Jaguars, Drake, Student Loans, Daycare, Detective Conan, Feel No Ways. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to read that. Critical Role, Spoilers, and Bobrisky. So, there's that. That's exciting. So, there you are. There it is. Yay fun. But yes, and maybe Jaguars is trending for me because I cover them and I talk about them all the time. But yes, so that's Casey Anthony is trending. So excited I'm not even going to click on it. I can't. No, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, to get back to my annoying moment of the week, if you're going to have a place that sells alcohol, you should have a food menu, even if it's like 5 different appetizers, because you're selling alcohol to people expecting the fact that they ate food before they came there, which I did, and I didn't even drink that much. I drank 2 half glasses, and the half glass was like 3 drops of wine. I don't know who decides what a half or a full glass is, but it wasn't a lot. They were very stingy with the wine. And I mean, and the reason why I know that is I went down to Disney, and Disney's expensive, and I ordered a glass of Moscato, and they didn't ask me, do you want a half glass or a full glass? I said, I'd like a glass of Moscato, and they came over and they poured it, and it was very nice. And it lasted me through dinner time. So, let's not be stingy with the wine if we're going to give it. Let's have some food so people can get home safely and soundly. And $45 for 5 glasses that don't even make up an entire glass if you poured them all together, that's way too much. $45. It looks like I went to dinner on a date and had a full meal and drinks. $45. $45 for a full glass of wine and 4 half glasses of wine. $45. I don't know if there's been another time. And I was in good company. It's not about the company that I kept that day. And so I'm not saying this in this respect. I'm saying this in the respect of how much it cost there. That was probably will go down in history. I'm hoping that I don't have more. So I don't want to add to this list. But this will probably go down in history as one of the biggest wastes of money. And again, not the company. Not the company, and the atmosphere was nice. It was just way too expensive for not a lot of wine and not having any food available, which I don't think is a smart idea when you're serving people alcohol, fully understanding that people are going to sit there and they're going to drink and they're going to drink and they're going to drink. And some people don't know how to hold it down and they're going to need food, and there's nothing what's going to be there to help them in the food world. So I'm not saying the place is bad, because I don't think it is. And I want it to succeed. Hence why I left it unnamed, because the annoying moment of the week was more on the price of things and more on the just sheer, why would you not have food in a place where you're selling alcohol? And then the other side of that is looking at the reality of just how stingy they were with the wine that they gave you and the price of it. $45. It was one of the biggest wastes of money that I've ever made in my life. I had a good time. I'm just stating that for the amount of wine that we got cumulatively, $23 would have been acceptable, not $45 plus a tip. It was $54, really. So those are my annoying moments of the week. A wine place that doesn't have food and doesn't give you enough wine and makes you pay way too much, and zombie cicadas thanks to a sexually transmitted disease. Hopefully the zombie ones are not coming out, but we'll see. And how do you treat that? Like, are there doctors that can go into they're buried underneath our ground, and they dig these holes and they come up from underneath us? Yuck. How terrifying is that? There's something living. There are broods, right? Multiple different within the species of cicada, multiple different numerical cicada broods living underneath our feet at all times and escaping from underneath us every 13 to 17 years to say hello, and then they go back into their holes and disappear again like they never happened. It's horrifying. I would like to know from God, if God could let me know this, Do the cicadas like do something like keep the Earth's core warm enough or cool enough that we don't all die? Like, is there something the cicadas are doing beneath us that is helpful to humanity and the survival of the planet Earth that will help me feel a little bit better about why they're living below us all the time? That's horrifying. Anywho, I'm going to throw up. Those are the annoying moments of the week. Cicadas, zombie cicadas, as well as spending way too much and not getting any food, and Casey Anthony trending on X right now. Those are my annoying moments of the week. Proudly presented by Carvel, DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. I implore you to head over to Carvel DeWitt today. I told you about all these things that are annoying and disturbing, but something that is awesome and amazing is Carvel in our community, and I appreciate them so very much. Head off to Carvel DeWitt today. Let them know that DT sent you, or you can say Wake Up Call sent you, and you can get the DT Dolphin, my own Sunday that I created with a connection to the LeMoyne College Dolphins that are just down the road from Carvel DeWitt. And within a few minutes of campus, you can find LeMoyne College down the road from Carvel DeWitt. And we have my DT Dolphin Sunday, which is mint chocolate chip, green for the Dolphins, of course, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry. Green and gold sprinkles and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of the whipped cream. You can get your DT Dolphin exclusively at 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York at Carvel DeWitt. And we look forward to seeing you out there. We'll take a step aside. I am so disturbed by the cicadas, it's not even funny. So I'm going to have to say some novenas after this, and I'm going to have to walk around the studio and the office and give myself some tender loving care, right? Just be really nice to myself, say nice things to myself, so watch some nice videos. So yeah, go and find one of my favorite movies, find one of my Spider-Man movies and watch that. Why can't Spider-Man protect us from the cicadas? Do spiders have any connection to them? We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. it's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in their community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. It is time for us, and meets that thing called cicada, apparently. But we are getting into the second portion of our Friday broadcast, and that, of course, is LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is the acronym, and that is proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. You can get to Chick-fil-A Cicero by going to 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York, and you can get to Chick-fil-A Clay by going to 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York, and they are both right off of the highway, each of them very easy to get to. So make sure you head out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay today, bringing you LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. And today's topic for this acronym of learning, evolving, ad-libbing, and delivering is knowing who you are. Well, you have to learn who you are, right? You have to learn over time who you are, who you want to be. You evolve over time. You have to ad-lib in life, and that can help you learn who you are and how you can think on the fly and how can you react on the fly and how you handle situations that you don't have any control over that may change, because if we think that life is going to go exactly how we have it planned, then apparently we're very naive to life, because that's not how life works. And then you deliver, knowing who you are. You deliver on that every single day, right? This is who I am, this is who I say I am, then this is who I need to be, right? If you say I'm an early person, if you tell people I'm an early person, but you show up late to everything, you're not an early person, right? So you have to deliver on knowing who you are. You have to deliver on that. So knowing who you are, why is that important? Well, it's important because if you don't know who you are, you're easily manipulated. And I think people really need to understand that. When you don't know who you are, you can be transformed by other people and by other ideas. There are some people that watch the news, and depending on what channel they watch, and it's really sad that we have to say this, the news should be consistent throughout. When something happens, it should be consistent throughout. The news should not be told with somebody changing it to fit your ideals, right? So, I mean, I've watched presidential elections before where one channel was not claiming that someone was the victor and the other channel was clearly saying, like, there's really no way for this other person to win. And because the one channel didn't want that person to win, they wouldn't call it. And they tried to find all these ways to get around it. And then there's another channel going like, nah, it's over. It's done. Some people follow the news and they build their life around what they hear. Some people do not research. They do not check into things. I can tell you after talking about the cicadas this morning, I'm going to be paying attention and checking into stuff. But people are sometimes manipulated. And when you don't know who you are easily manipulated. There's things that people believe that they've said to me that I've been completely floored by. I've had at least a couple people come up to me in the 38 years I've been alive, look me in the eye, and say, do you buy the Holocaust? Do you buy it? I said, what do you mean? They said, well, Dan, how do we really know that it happened? And I was like, do you think David Copperfield put 6 million Jews on stage and put a curtain over them and then they disappeared like he does with the helicopters? No. So, but there's people they'll go to a Holocaust museum even. I don't know if this happened. This might just be something that the media told us or that the government told us. It disturbs me that people will literally believe anything. There's people that would rather not believe in God, but they believe that ancient aliens came down and made us. They believe that a race of aliens, of little green men with tentacles and dashboard faces, came down here, created us, and left, and are just studying us and seeing how we're doing. They believe that over God. They believe that an alien race that flew a ship a long time ago came down here, built the pyramids, but they don't believe in God. And they think that aliens makes more sense. But then who created the aliens? Who created the beginning of creation is the question that we always have to come back to. And yet, there are people who believe these things. There are people that are easily manipulated because they don't know who they are. And I've met people that don't know who they are. I married someone who didn't know who she was, and it was sad. And hopefully now she knows who she is. I pray for her all the time. We're not together. We've been divorced and annulled for many years, but I pray that she knows who she is because she didn't when we were together. And that was a red flag that I chose to not really stop me from marrying her, and it should have. And when you don't know who you are, it affects anyone you interact with, because when you don't know who you are, you become different things to different people. I had a friend that would change the way he spoke when he was around certain people. He would talk what he thought was like stereotypically like a ghetto voice, like something he would see in the movies, like, yeah, man, nah, what I seen, you know it. And he would talk that way around somebody who spoke that way. And he would change the way he talked about women and the way he talked about people and the way that he carried himself. And around me, he seemed to have morals and values. When he spoke around this guy and he thought he was trying to be like cool and this and that, he would try and talk in this like stereotypical ghetto voice, and he would disrespect people. And so he was a different person to this person, and he would do it right in front of you, and you'd be like, dude, that's not, like, which one are you? Or are you neither? Are you the nice guy around me and like the disturbing guy around this other guy because he's also disturbing? And it's when people are chameleons, and I'm not saying people that can handle living in different atmospheres. I'm saying when people change who they are, those people are people you have to pay attention to. The people that are constantly changing, not evolving, changing, right? That like everybody knows a different version of them, or these 5 people know them to be this way, and these 10 people, and these 100 people, and that one person. When somebody is a bunch of different people, a bunch of different personalities in one, that's not good, because then nobody really knows exactly who you are, and you don't know who you are. When you try to be somebody else, or you try to fill some stereotype, it's because you haven't figured out who you are yet. And when you don't know who you are, like I said, you're easily manipulated. You're also a danger to the people around you and the people that love you and the people that appreciate you and spend time with you, because they're not getting the full story of who you are. And when people don't have the full story of who you are, well, that could be dangerous too. And not that everybody needs to know your full life story. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when people don't know who you are, the people that love you the most, that are close to you, that would do anything for you, take a bullet for you. If those people really don't know the real you, then who does? And if you're going to live on this planet, you're not going to share, who you really are to anybody. You're just going to be everybody's chameleon, and that's not good. I've never met a person who pretends to be a bunch of different people that ends up being like good and healthy for relationships. Normally those people that hide part of their identity with somebody and then do another one with somebody else, those people typically get themselves in trouble, and they typically hurt the people that love them. So knowing who you are isn't just important to yourself. It's important to the people around you. It's important to the people that you spend your time with. It's important to, everything. Because you might be the sweetest person in the world to your dog, but you might be like the meanest, lying, cheating, stealing person out there to people. And that's no way to live your life. I feel like when you know who you are and you're comfortable in who you are, you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to find a way to, you're not trying to please people, right? When you know who you are, you're not trying to like make everybody else happy, because you can't. You could do everything right. I have been in friendships and business relationships and romantic relationships where you feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't hurt anybody. I always came, to play in the sense, like I was always there. I was always present. I was always trying to help. I've had relationships where I sit down and I go, I've been nice to these people as long as I've known them. I did everything I could to help them. I've been by their side. I've been honest. I've done everything I said I was going to do. And they still don't like you, because somebody's happiness is their choice. It's their choice. You can't make somebody happy. I mean, I've been in situations where people will say, like, if you give me this or you do this for me, I'll be happy. And then you do it and they don't change, And so I think that, I know that we have to stop living for the desire of pleasing other people and making other people happy. And we have to really focus on taking care of ourselves, being happy ourselves, and being good to others, but understanding that their happiness is not our burden, and that if we don't know who we are going to mutate a lot. And when you don't know who you are, you end up giving up years of your life where you start to just become other things, and you start to just get lost in other things. And that's not healthy. It's not good, because you can't get back that time. And I'm not saying that you don't have a moment, right? I'm not saying that we're perfect. We're going to make mistakes. What I'm saying to you is, what I need you to do is, excuse me, I need you to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, that's okay. It's okay. If you're sitting here with me right now going, Dan, I don't know who I am, that's okay. But it's not okay to keep saying that, right? It's not okay to keep going in that direction. You may not know who you are right now, but you can get to know who you are. Think about the things that matter to you. Think about the things that are important to you. Because once you know yourself, once you know what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, the things that affect you, the things that kind of make you change your mind or change your emotions, you can start to control the things that you thought you couldn't. You control your emotion, and the only thing you can control is yourself. But you start to control your emotions. You start to control your thoughts. You start to get a hold of things. You start to understand, okay, I can't go down this path. Okay, I shouldn't do this. Okay, I saw this in another relationship. I'm not going to put up with it in this one. But you start to learn. And when you learn, you evolve. And when you evolve, you can ad-lib in situations that are tough, and you can deliver on the promises that you've given to yourself. of taking care of yourself and loving yourself and being good to yourself. And that's what LEAD is. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. So do your best to know who you are. And if you don't right now, well, then take some time to start to figure it out today. Take one step in the right direction today. Whether it's being cognizant of something that affects you, or it's knowing, hey, if I don't get a lot of sleep, I act like this. Or if you haven't done something for yourself in a while, and maybe it's time to just go get your favorite breakfast at your favorite place. Little things become the big thing. And the big thing is taking care of you. But in order to take care of you, you got to put your puzzle pieces back together. We've all been broken at some point. Our puzzles come apart at some point. Doesn't mean it has to stay apart. And it doesn't mean it won't come apart again. But if we can be the glue in our own life, and we can trust in God to be the glue with us, if God can be our glue, and we can be what we lean on we lean on ourselves, we lean on God. If we can trust that that relationship is enough, then when our puzzle pieces break apart again, it's going to be easier to put them back together. Because the reality of it all, folks, is the longer you stay broken, the more people you hurt, including yourself, and the more time you lose. So be cognizant of the fact that today is important, and it's only going to happen today. So know who you are. It's not something that comes easy, but it's something that is rewarding, and it's something that we all need. And I look forward to you discovering who you are as time goes by. God bless you all. This is LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. You are never alone. God is always with you. And when you realize that you, from the inside out, have to love yourself and your happiness comes from there, you start to learn who you are. And you start to see the world differently. I don't know how people do it without God. I'm telling you this now, whatever you believe in, your happiness has to come from within you, not outside you. And doing life with God, God is not my crutch. God is my king. And I don't know a better way to live my life. And I don't plan on learning a better way to live my life because there isn't one. God first. Take care of yourselves. Be good to each other. We'll be back after this.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was, selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Those are our fast breaks, and we are back here for the top dog of the week, but I can't do it without Miss Lily's help. Top dog of the week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, comes to you every single Friday right around 10 a.m. Eastern time, bringing you the top dog of the week. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is there for short-term care for your dog on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, right across from BJ's and easily visible from coming off the highway and coming off of Erie Boulevard. So you can find Canine Camp Dog Daycare. For more information, call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. You can also go to K-9KAMP.com. And for the Kampground Dog Boarding for longer-term care for your furry loving friend, you can find that place for the wonderful, beautiful, lovable member of your family by calling Canine Campground Dog Boarding, where each dog gets their own cabin to stay in with their own bed, their own dish for food and for water. And some of your dogs that like television can get their own cabin with a TV. You can get in touch with the campground by calling 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. You can also get more information on Canine Campground Dog Boarding by going to K9, ground.com, and they're located on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, just moments from Canine Camp Dog Daycare, right there off of Bridge Street. So my top dog of the week for this week, it's got to be Dawn Staley. I made mention of it earlier on in the week, and I said I'll be talking about it later on, and this is the later on I'm talking about it. Dawn Staley, and really anybody that's unapologetically happy to talk about God. I have said over and over again on Wake Up Call, and to you, I've said, listen, we have people that watch and listen to the show and read our articles and all that stuff and go on our social media that believe in God. We probably have people that don't believe in God. And we have people that are somewhere in between of like, I grew up, I did, and I don't know if I do now. And we have people that are of different religions, different backgrounds. Some go to church, some go to temple, some go to synagogue, some don't go to any, So, and some go to mosque. And I appreciate you all because you're all God's kids. So who am I to not appreciate you if we differ in our beliefs or our views? And I've sat with people that have differing beliefs. I've been around people that are agnostic, that are atheist, that are Jewish, that, believe heavily, that believe kinda, people that are Catholic, people that are Christian, but not necessarily Catholic. And, I learn. Hopefully they learn from me. I've learned from them. And, it's a nice experience to, talk to people and gather information. I've always stayed who I am for 38 years, and I'm sure other people have stayed who they are. Maybe you've changed, but I believe in God. And in the respect that I have for you that are watching and listening right now all over the world that do believe or don't believe or believe but believe differently than me, that's okay. That's your journey, okay? So that's your life. For me, I believe in God. And Dawn Staley, when she said, if you don't believe in God, there's something wrong with you, I don't think she was attacking people. And I can't speak for Dawn, but when I saw that, what I got from it was like someone standing up for God. And I respect that. I respect that she's standing up for God. People get offended. People get offended by everything in today's world. Let's be real. And people are offended by toothpicks. They're offended by Skittles. They're offended by snakes. They're offended by wallpaper. I mean, people are offended by everything because people are soft in today's society. We've gotten soft. We've gotten soft. We've literally bred children and raised them to be soft. To not understand that the world's not going to be everything they want it to be all the time immediately. When you raise a child and you give the child the notion that they can be things that don't exist, that they can't fully be, and I mean it's crazy. You know, when you got kids dressing up like cats sitting in litter boxes in schools, I would have never dreamt of that. I would have never thought of that in my life. And I know that this can be controversial, but I don't care. It's my show. And if a teacher told my child that they could dress up like a cat and meow and purr and poop in a litter box in the middle of math class, I would do everything in my power to get my child out of that school. And I'd probably do what I could to make sure that that teacher didn't teach again. So, not that I would wish, I don't even want to say to me that teacher wouldn't teach again, because I don't wish bad on people. I don't want somebody to lose their job. I would try to get through to that teacher or through to that principal and be like, what are you doing? But I'm not going to stand for that. I said, I would probably be the worst parent at a parent-teacher conference in 2024 because I'd call out all the stuff that makes no sense. And I'd say, stop doing that. Stop teaching children or telling children things that they don't even know. They want to play. They want to go have fun. Stop putting these like weird ideals that you have as an adult on your children and forcing them to believe in these crazy notions that you have. And Dawn came out and stuck up for God, and I'm going to keep giving God the glory. And I respect that. And in the world of sports, there's a lot more coaches and athletes that talk about God than don't. And my mom said to me, she was like, of anything you could have picked, of any profession you could have gotten into, you went into a profession as a sportscaster where, you are around people that believe in God more often than not, and she's like, I feel like, God put you there type of thing. And I value that, when I think about of the 5,000 plus people that have been on the show, when I think about who did I talk to that didn't believe in God, and it's not even necessarily that they didn't, but they had been through something and maybe they didn't at the moment. It was like one or two people of like 5,000 plus. So in the world that I live in, I'm surrounded by people that believe in God. And I know nowadays colleges and universities and schools and businesses, everybody's afraid to say anything. But at the end of my life, I do not want God to say, hey, it's cool that you didn't talk about me because you have a show. I don't think that's how the conversation is going to go. I think God's going to say, who helped you make that show? Who was with you in the trenches? Who believed in you when people didn't? Who was there for you when you were crying? Who was there for you when you were yelling? Who was there for you when you were confused? And you didn't mention me because you got afraid. So I helped you build this entire thing, and then you forgot about me when you got to the top of the mountain? Absolutely not. And that's what I give Dawn Staley credit for, and that's why she's my top dog of the week. She got to the top of the mountain, and she didn't forget God. She got to the top of the mountain. And how is God controversial? That's what I don't understand. How is God controversial? God is love. God is all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful. There's nothing bad about God. Nothing. Hating God is hating perfection, hating sacrifice, hating love, hating empathy, hating patience, understanding, forgiveness. If you don't believe in God, what do you believe in? And like I said, I accept people to the show that don't. But I ask that question, what do you believe in? Because what I find with people that don't believe in God is they keep trying to find a God. They don't want to believe that God exists, but then they want to make a God. Well, artificial intelligence is going to be my God. Oh, well, this swimsuit model is going to be my God. Money's going to be my God. Power's going to be my God. My cars are going to be my God. My girlfriend's going to be my God. My boyfriend's going to be my God. That student athlete's going to be my God. That professional athlete's going to be my God. They're looking for somebody to guide them, something to lead them, something to give them purpose and reason for being alive. Instead of believing in the one thing that's been in front of you forever, since the dawn of time and probably before that. You're trying to create God when there is one. It's like trying to make something that already exists. People do that all the time. Look at the movies. Dawn Staley is my top dog of the week because Dawn Staley knew the platform she had. She knew the millions, if not trillions, of people that were going to hear her. And she decided to glorify her God, whether you laughed at her, hated her, disrespected her. She didn't care. She knows who she is and what she believes in. And she was unafraid to say it. And good for her. And good for the people that are unafraid to say it when they have 2 people listening, no people listening, let alone millions, if not trillions of people listening. God bless that. God bless that. Because Dawn Staley showed us all that when you don't know anything else in your life, know God. And she said God, she didn't say God is simple. She didn't say I understand everything God does. She said God challenges you. She said God puts you through it. She didn't say God's all sunshine and rainbow. She said God's going to test you. God's going to push you. I'm paraphrasing, but talking about what I took away from what she said, that God does not make your life easy. God challenges you, but then the beauty of what you can get at the end of that challenge, the end of that road, is incredible. So Dawn Staley is my top dog of the week. And honestly, anybody who sticks up for God is my top dog of the week, because in today's world, it's a lot different than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you didn't believe in God, I feel like you got like slapped on the back of the head. But in today's world, it seems more socially acceptable and politically acceptable and in school acceptable and in dating acceptable to not believe in God, or at least pretend that you don't. And because I simply told them that I believe in God. I didn't say I'm going to push it on you. I didn't say I'm going to make you believe too. I didn't say believe or else. I literally said I believe in God, and that was the end of that dating. People that knew me for 5 seconds were like, you're attractive, you're funny, I like talking to you. Do you believe in God? Yes. I don't think it's going to work out. Just dry and cold, and, I just think it's funny because everybody asks to be accepted, but not everybody accepts. You realize that? I'm going to say that again because I think people need to hear it again. Everybody wants to be accepted, but not everybody accepts. Let that sink in. I don't think there's a person on this planet that doesn't want to be accepted for who they are. But not every person accepts other people for who they are. I believe in God with every fiber of my being and then some. But I accept if you don't. I accept because that's who you are. Right? I'm not going to change you. Maybe I rub off on you. Maybe you rub off on me. But I accept there's people different than me in this world. I do. And I would hope that you accept me too. And if you don't, I don't care. I'm still going to be me. But anybody ridiculing Dawn Staley for believing in God and standing up for God, look at our society. Look at America right now. The more we've taken God out of schools, the crazier it's gotten. How many times did we have school shootings back in the day? We had one, Columbine. One. We had an anniversary every year to remember how freaking crazy tragic that was. Now, we have school shootings, every year? All the time? Taking God out of school, taking God out of everything, it changes life, man. And if you can't see the bad that brings, then you're not paying attention with eyes and ears. So I applaud Dawn Staley, and I applaud people that stick up for God, because at the end of our lives, we all got to face him. And I am not facing God saying that I kept my mouth shut because I was scared. I would rather walk with God off a cliff than sit in a pool with a glass of wine without God. So kudos to you, Dawn Staley, for doing what you did. Top dog of the week, Dawn Staley. And shout out to her team as well, the South Carolina Gamecocks, for going undefeated this season and having a record set, a beautiful year that people didn't anticipate. They were paying attention to Iowa and LSU and thinking that that was going to be, so there was going to be a champion repeat with LSU. Maybe Caitlin Clark would get her ring, but Dawn Staley has built a heck of a program at South Carolina, and shout out to them. Our top dogs of the week here, proudly presented by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. With that being said, we have bonus as we do under promise and over deliver in the world of our partnership with LeMoyne College. And I'm honored and privileged to have here on screen with me, picture in picture, an AD and DT with Bob Beretta, myself, Dan Tortora, to speak on spring sports success, the tennis postseason, which starts today for men's and women's tennis. The women's team will start off against FDU at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time this morning from West Windsor, New Jersey. And at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the men's team will go up against LIU. So that's going to be happening here in just a little while, an hour for the women and a few hours for the men. Jeff Lonzak leading both programs. And we're going to be talking about NEC expansion with one of my favorite people on the planet, Mr. Beretta. How we doing?
Hey, I'm excellent, Dan. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. And there's a lot to get into. There's a lot that's happened since the last time that we spoke. And I would love to jump into spring sports success, that what we've seen with softball and the moments that they have had, as well as baseball. I mean, we've gotten to see that, I mean, softball has had different key elements to this first D1 season. One of the things I go back to that I keep fresh on my mind is winning 3 out of 4 series in a row, in a span of time, winning 3 out of 4 series with the gamut that they had, that they came out with this first D1 season to start. Then I look at the baseball side of things and the return to Division One, and what I kept telling people was, give them a series. They're winning a game in a multi-game series. They're going to all these different states, and they're coming away with at least a victory, showing the student athletes that they can play with anybody, showing Scott Cassidy that this team really can hang, which is something that he knew going in, and I think he had a lot of faith in. And then to have them win their first series, being their first home series of the season, and that being the first series win that they had, setting that history in the return to Division One. Then we look at men's lacrosse being independent this year, and the way that they've pushed teams and pushed ranked teams, and the way that they faced off against St. John's at home. And then we look at women's lacrosse and how they started off the season against Cal at home, and the things that they have done to find success. And we look at the success of the 2 tennis teams and so on and so forth, and women's golf and what they've been able to do. There's so many great things to talk about on the Heights. So what can you say about the spring sports success that we've seen by the Dolphins?
Yeah, you did a great job recapping it, Dan. We've been pleased. We've been pleased. As the athletic director, you'd always like to have more victories. I've said that before, but you'd say that if you were, 28-2, you'd want those 2, right? So that's our job, to always want a little bit more. But I've been so pleased, so proud of our student athletes, how they've continued to compete, how our coaches have prepared our student athletes and to get them in a position to be successful, how our staff has supported our head coaches along those lines. So it's been certainly a team effort from top and bottom down and up, and we continue to just grind away here. And before you know it, it'll be graduation. The spring really does fly by, but just overall exciting times today with our tennis teams competing in the NEC tournament for the first time, and hopefully we'll have positive results and be able to advance into deeper into the tournament, and a full slate of weekend action tonight with our men's lacrosse team on the road at Bucknell. And again, as you mentioned, an independent schedule, but an interesting one with different opponents and different flavor than years past and probably in years future. But really proud of our teams, our women's lacrosse team doing so well, right knocking on the door, hopefully to try and get a bye in that first round of the NEC tournament. They're in the NEC tournament in its return season to Division One. The baseball team just continuing to just grind away, and find ways to win games, and we'll see. That's going to be a very interesting stretch here. That season stretches a little bit longer than the others, so we'll be able to monitor how they do here in conference play into the middle of May, and then hopefully get into that tournament down at it used to be Duchess Stadium. Now I'm not sure what the name of it is, but down where the Hudson Valley Renegades play. So it'll be a fun couple of weeks. It's been interesting to see our teams evolve and our student athletes adjust and elevate their game, and they'll continue to do so. And kudos to our student athletes and our head coaches, because they really have presented and represented extremely well all throughout the season.
Yeah, and you said that well, like, presented what they've done and represented this college, this institution, the way that they have. And it's, I mean, to me, women's lacrosse returning to division, or when they go back to Division One, baseball and women's lacrosse, the only two sports that had Division One history at LeMoyne, I marvel at the fact that what Liz Bevel's doing and what Scott Cassidy's doing, they're players now. They're effective now. And I look at Tracy Roman in that first D1 season, and I look at how she's gotten away and what she's doing and how they've navigated through adversity. And then you look at men's lacrosse saying, hey, we got an independent schedule. We can play whoever we want. And the challenge that Dan Sheehan and the staff brought upon themselves to play the games that they decided to play, in the Yales and the Denvers of the world, and to play most of their schedule on the road, 2 games at home. So, when you see this coming off of the success of men's basketball, coming off of knocking out FDU and not letting them back in the NCAA tournament, the success of the women's basketball team and Mary Grimes doing what she's done for 3 years, which is win. And, before that, women's soccer and men's soccer. And to know that both of those coaches at one time had an interim tag, and Yaro Zavaslan came through for women's soccer, and on the men's soccer side, seeing everything we saw with Callum Donnelly and how he's affected the team. There's all of these storylines, and Bob, next month we're celebrating a year of the move. Next month is May. Can you believe? I know at times it probably felt like it was a couple months in, and you're like, wow, okay, we're in D1 and we're doing this, but it's like you snap your fingers and it's a year. And I keep looking at the timer and then talking with Noreen Morris going, okay, now we got 3 years until the NCAAs. Maybe it could be 2 years until the end. So, paying attention to all of that. But can you believe that next month, you and I and Dr. Linda Lemura and everybody on campus and the board of directors and the coaches and student athletes and alumni and prospective students and student athletes and faculty, we will all be celebrating 1 year in D1.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe. Time flies, Dan. And when you're in the grind every day, you don't pay attention. You just kind of get your head down and you keep working, and it's on to the next. And it's whether it's on to the next task for that day or on to the next competition if you're a head coach or a student athlete, you're in that moment and you just keep working hard. And by the time you look up, it's May, and you turn the calendar and a year has passed. I mean, that's college athletics. That's higher education, but certainly in college athletics. And now we're in the home stretch, and the spring season does go by in a blink. And within a month, we will have celebrated a year, and we know we'll have already served one of our years of sitting out from the NCAA standpoint. And the hope is that's going to get reduced. I am fairly confident that will get reduced at some point here this summer to 3 years. Maybe, there's potential that it gets reduced further. Just last week, we had the NEC athletic directors and presidents had a Zoom call with President Baker of the NCAA, and we had an opportunity to ask questions. And I asked that question directly to President Baker, and his response was encouraging, and he had a staff member who spoke about it as well. So I know that committee that oversees that reclassification process, it's the Strategic Vision and Planning Committee of the NCAA. Yeah. They met in January. They're meeting again in April. They'll meet in June, and I would expect there's going to be some movement there. So I'm very hopeful. And if it gets reduced to 3, that means that we only have 2 left. If it gets reduced to 3 with some peg points, maybe reduced to 2, and if we hit those peg points, we might only have 1 year left. So I'm really encouraged. I think once we get through this reclassification period, it'll allow people to to just feel made whole. And the fact that we're able to compete for conference championships right now is enormous.
Yeah.
And I always say that with tremendous amount of gratitude to the presidents of the NEC and our Commissioner Morris, who allowed for that to happen. And it gives our student athletes, look, we're talking about tennis today. We wouldn't be talking about tennis today if that hadn't been the case, right? They wouldn't be able to compete for this championship in the tournament. So you can see the level of hope that it provides. And without hope, it makes it tough to get up and out of bed every day. And for a student athlete, that's, you know, so much of what drives them is hope to win championships, hope to achieve at the highest level of their potential. And that's our job. Our job is to provide energy, hope, and promise to our student athletes. And that's what we're trying to do every day.
You know, there's something over my shoulder, and my mom got it for me in my first apartment. And you talk about hope. And this literally sits over my shoulder every show. It was in my first apartment. It's been everywhere I've lived, and it's been in my studio for many years. Hope makes the impossible possible. Yeah. And that hope, that belief that it doesn't have to just stay the way that it is. And there's also another sign here that goes off of that. I cannot stand that people say it is what it is. So the sign that I have in my studio says it is what it is, but it will become what you make of it. So knowing what we have ahead of us now, and like you said, being on this call and you directly asking the NCAA president, you said you feel good about it. Can you elaborate or say anything more about, you know, the meaning of the call, like why that call was there, that opportunity was there, and what makes you feel positive about it?
Well, the call was really a product of President Baker, and I just can't tell you how impressed I am with his leadership. This is the second time now where he's made it a point, a priority to meet with all. I believe there are 92 conferences at all three divisions in the country, and he went on this tour back when he took office and wanted to meet with us back in the fall with every conference, the commissioners, the athletic directors, and the presidents. And this was really another edition of that, where he allowed for us to submit topics that we wanted to discuss. He addressed them the best that he could, and then he also allowed for some Q&A during that hour session. So it wasn't about one topic or another. It was really a listening tour, I believe, that he's on, but for him to provide that level of transparency and that interaction. And we talked about all things that you can imagine. We talked about NIL, we talked about transfer portal, we talked about topics that are currently threatening the industry and where we might be headed. And there are many things that he couldn't really elaborate on. And this was one. I think his direct quote to me was, Bob, I really don't want to get ahead of our committee on this. And then there was a staff member, and she was able to discuss it a little bit, just give us the background, nothing that isn't public, right? They met in January. They publicized minutes. You can go onto the NCAA website and look at it and read the minutes. And when you read the minutes, it looks fairly promising that they are taking a deep dive into this, and that's why I was able to really question a little bit, and we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I feel like that'd be pretty cool that if we got through year one, we'd really get through half of our reclass period, because another year would be forgiven, if you will, and then we'd be looking at two with potential, depending on what the committee comes back with. Maybe there's an opportunity to slice it even further.
Yeah, you know, and that would be huge. And like you said, you know, we talk about the enterprise has been the word that's been used so much with the NCAA and what that's going to look like. The former president, you know, President Emmert, when he stepped away and just basically saying the NCAA has no control over college football. We have no say in it. That's college football playoff and whatnot. And, you know, kind of some disturbing stuff that came out in the 2020 time period. And you talk about President Baker getting in touch with over 90 conferences, over 3 divisions, and just listening and hearing what people are saying. There's times where people lead in a castle. They lead from a tower. They lock the tower, and you know, they say they hear the people because they can go to the window and they can hear far down below them what the people are saying. But then there's other leaders that don't live in the tower, don't lock themselves in the castle. They come down, they put the drawbridge down, they invite people into the castle, and they sit at the table with them. What is it about that element of it with President Baker that makes you feel hopeful, not just for LeMoyne and for the NEC and for Division One, but for the NCAA and its future in general, that there is a president that's not in a tower?
Well, I think it's really important, Dan, that his entire philosophy is, hey, I need to listen. I need to really understand the issues that people in the trenches are dealing with every day. And he comes obviously from a political background, and he's used to listening to his constituencies and his stakeholders, and he's doing that. And what I love about his leadership is he's looking at things holistically, and there, I think the NCAA, our leaders in our enterprise, understand that we have to make changes. We have to be nimble. You've heard that word a lot since COVID, but we have to be adaptive, really. And I think that's the word that I kind of really embrace more than anything else. We have to be adaptive to our current situation, and that might change tomorrow. So it's nimble, but nimble in a way that you're adaptive. You have to adapt to our environment and those external forces. And he's listening and he's seeing, and he's you can see in his leadership, there's been some things where he just wants to get something out to at least begin the conversation. And whether it's the D1 model, right, the Division One project, Division One, or I think he understands that maybe he's not coming forth with what is going to be the ultimate solution, but he wants to come forth with a conversation starter on a lot of these topics. And generally, when you open the doors for dialogue, that allows for the opportunity to maybe come to a different conclusion than you're currently at. And I love that about his work and his approach. And again, for him to just think about that, taking an hour out of you're the president of the NCAA, and you're going to meet with 92 conferences, spend an hour with each conference, 92 of them at all three levels, and do it twice within a calendar year. That's pretty impressive. I think that's servant leadership at its finest.
Yeah, I mean, 1 hour with each and 92. I mean, he's given up almost 100 hours just one time, and then let alone doing it again. The importance of that, and when you look at the brass tacks of it all, I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. Giving up, an hour here at one part of the year, an hour there, you would hope that somebody would do that, and it's great to see that President Baker is doing that. Before we jump into the tennis postseason that's happening in just about in a little bit less than an hour here, to go to one of the points that you made, all the things that threaten the enterprise, which is not necessarily the portal itself or NIL itself, but it's the lack of control of these things that were kind of just let out without having any parameters, and people doing different things, different conferences doing different things, and there's no real rules set in place or fans ask me all the time, well, what about this and what about that? And if you're in the transfer portal, do you have to be eligible? Because you used to have to be eligible to transfer now, but what if someone's academically ineligible? Does it matter anymore? And I just got that question a couple days ago. When you look at the NIL and you look at the transfer portal and realignment and all these things that are affecting everybody, when we talk about collegiate athletics, like you told me a while back when Oklahoma and Texas decided to leave the Big 12 for the SEC, you said, we're going to feel it here. And we did. And here we are in LeMoyne's in Division One now. So when you look at all of these things that we need more information on, we need to have parameters put in place, we need to put a fence around this house. How do we do that? And do you feel that President Baker has helped to deliver a plan of some type of clarity that might be coming here in trying to understand this? Because as an athletics director, and now in Division One especially, you have to really take a good hard look at the transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the reality of the current situation, Dan. And I think you try to look through a crystal ball and do the best you can to project as a leader, as an administrator. And certainly that's what we did here, and tried to project where we might be if we remained in our previous conference, and where that division might be, and where we could be if we we're able to reclassify. And even now, it never stops. You can't say, well, they look down the road and they went into Division 1 and they're in great. Well, you just have to continue to look because these external forces are very challenging in higher education, not just in athletics. And we have to be nimble. And that's where our leader, ultimate leader, President LeMoyne, does such a great job of positioning this college for long-term success. She has great vision. She's a bold leader. She's not afraid to make a difficult decision, as this was, and we have many more before us. And you just try to, one thing that we talk about with President LeMoyne, and she does just exquisitely, is she skates where the puck is going to be, not where it was or not where it is. And when many people zig, she's going to zag. She talks about that. She takes great pride in that. I love to be part of her leadership team because, I like to work for a leader like that who's going to try to not be afraid to make a bold move. And we're not going to hit it bat 1,000, but we're going to do our best to position the college for long-term success. And there are some challenging elements right now, whether it's NIL, and I do agree that unfortunately the industry right now lacks guardrails. It lacks structure. The enterprise is screaming for that. And I think that's another change you're going to see in the NIL space. I think in short order, we're going to gain some more control and some allowed to service our student athletes in a better way in NIL. I think that's coming down here in the short term, that we'll have a little more institutional assistance that we can provide our student athletes than we can right now. And I think that'll be a good thing for all. But the transfer portal, I don't see us putting that toothpaste back in the tube as an industry. I think the year in residency piece is gone. And I don't think it's ever going to come back. And so I think that we have to adjust to that, right? And I know my philosophy as an athletic director had always been with our coaches, listen, I don't want to become transfer you. We need to build a culture so that our kids we're retaining our student athletes, our scholar athletes, we're retaining them. And then we can use the transfer portal very strategically to plug gaps and fill holes. And I still am a firm believer in that. Yet I also understand that there's so many external forces right now that sometimes you can build the best culture of any program, but there are so many factors involved pulling at these young people, whether it's NIL, whether it's a pathway to the pros or to Europe, and that sometimes these external voices outweigh the culture that you might have established. So I understand. I still hope that our coaches can build cultures where our student athletes want to remain for 4 years, but I'm also not naive enough to think that is not a challenge. And to our credit, and I'll just speak to basketball because basketball is where the majority of this transition is, football and basketball, and we certainly don't have football here, but in basketball, I thought I read the number of over 2,000 student athletes in the portal, and we see it in our league. And if you look at our rosters on the men's and women's side, extremely stable. We've had a couple people enter the portal that for varying degrees, but none of the student athletes that have entered the portal currently played significant minutes for us this past year on either the men's or women's side. And there are a couple that wanted to maybe go back closer to home or have an opportunity to play a little bit more. And those are the situations you can understand. But there is such the fleeing nature of these rosters are, in some cases, there's teams across the country left with no returning players or one returning player. Yeah. And so we have no choice then you have to go shopping in the portal and try to get as many as you can, because you can't just rely on a roster of first year student athletes and not only build success, but build that culture. So that's the challenge. That's the tension. And whereas before, maybe we could just say, hey, we're going to pick off one or two transfers. Depending on the situation, you might have to be a little bit more aggressive in the transfer portal. But to me, it all starts with being able to retain your talent. And if you can retain your young people, create that culture where they want to be part of it. And hopefully that helps drown out the noise, right? All that artificial noise, because our 18, 19, they're hearing it. They're hearing it from many different elements, whether it's family members or friends or social media or the FOMO or whatever it is. But they have to understand, in most cases, if they enter the portal without a sure thing, sometimes they'll come away with that disappointed. And we're seeing that, right? We see young people that enter the portal with a scholarship and find that there's no scholarship waiting for them on the other end. And at that point in time, generally, they're not going back. There's not an avenue for them to return, because as soon as they enter the portal, it's the coach's position, right, to try and replace them. So difficult times for sure.
Yeah.
We're certainly honoring scholarships of our young people until they do leave for 4 years, but generally when they enter the portal, we'll honor those scholarships, but in some cases there may not be a place for them on the team.
Yeah, and I appreciate everything that you said here in what's going on in the background, and just your vision and how you feel that, because it is, high school student athletes and prep school student athletes, they suffer too, right? Because people want somebody that's been playing for 2 or 3 years and knows what it's like to be in college and knows what it's like to go through all the things in and out of class and in and out of the practice facility and games and whatnot. So it does become difficult, and there has to be parameters around it. There has to be some type of personal responsibility to it as well, because now there's no year in residency for the first year, the second year. You could go to 4 schools in 4 years, and those people more than likely are not going to have a degree, because you're transferring credits and doing all that. So it's a difficult thing. And I was like, when college looks different than pro, Trevor Lawrence is the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback. He's not the Jaguars quarterback this year, then the Rams quarterback, then the Bills quarterback, then the Ravens quarterback. That's not how it works. And, if you're not doing that professionally with millions of dollars, then collegiately, when you're trying to create an education and prepare these people, and that's really what it comes down to, is going to college is supposed to prepare you for the real world. It's supposed to get you ready for living on your own. It's supposed to get you ready for having to make decisions on your own as well. You're going to have to learn how to balance things, time management, how to be good with your money. There's so many things that go beyond what major you have and what sport you play, that if you don't have a college experience, I feel that you're not truly prepared for things that are going to happen out there. And I think, not going to college to me is essentially taking away not only 4 to 5 years of, some of the best moments of my life, but it takes away so many avenues, so many networking pieces and building bridges. I go back to my education daily. So, I just feel like the educational side of it has to be a key component, the component above all the other things. And right now it's not. And I'm hoping that changes for sure. And I know that the NEC and Noreen Morris, and we're going to be doing a special that'll be airing here on Wake Up Call shortly, but she made evident that she said, hey, this was our vision and mission, and it still is. I want academics to be the thing that we focus on the most with the NEC. So with that being said, let's jump into the NEC postseason. Tennis happens today. The women will be going on here at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, West Windsor, New Jersey. They will be taking on FDU. That will be followed by the men's tennis team at 2 o'clock. That will go off in their matches against LIU, both with the opportunity at winning for the first time ever a Division I postseason and an NEC postseason. Your thoughts on Jeff Lonzak leading these two programs, and the thoughts of the fact that they're playing at the same time. It used to be one in the fall and one in the spring. Now we have men's and women's tennis happening at the same time, in the same place, on the same courts, which is something I think great for Jeff Lonzak, great for LeMoyne, and great for us to pay attention to, as those matches are going to start very soon.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited for the prospects of those student athletes having the ability to compete for a conference championship. And they've been very successful here during the past several years on the heights, and now certainly a step up in competition at the Division I level. And we'll see. We'll see. I think we can win a match in the tournament to be a tremendous accomplishment in year one for them. But they're used to winning. They're used to earning championships. So I know that they're not going to be satisfied with just one victory in the tournament. So we'll see. We're going to go in with our eyes wide open, and I know that Jeff will have them prepared. He's done such a great job as our head coach, and I enjoy having the two seasons, the championship seasons, married in the spring. That was kind of the format that I was used to when I was at Army for all those years, and it was odd for me to have a championship season in the fall and one in the spring. But it can be challenging if you have one head coach for both programs. that's a challenge. And that's the case for Coach Lonzak. He's done such a great job in his scheduling of trying to make sure that there's opportunities for both teams. And in many cases, we'll play the same team in men and women's tennis if we have a dual match or something along those lines, or take them to an invitational and have them both compete. But we're challenged there. I think that we're going to give him a little bit of help in the future, and he'll have a couple of part-time assistants that'll assist. And the same thing with our golf program. They're in the same situation where championship seasons here in the spring, and they're coming up, I believe, next weekend down in Georgia. One weekend, the men, the following weekend, and the women. I'm not sure if the women are first or the men are first, but same concept. But it's exciting, right? It's exciting for our student athletes to go to a tremendous facility down in Jersey this weekend in tennis, and I know that our golf athletes are really excited. They're going to be playing in Georgia, so that's a pretty cool experience. And we talked about all of this holistically when we talked about this move to Division One. We wanted to enhance the student athlete experience, and winning championships is part of that, but the daily experience of who you're going to play, where you're going to play, the facilities, the experience, and for us, the championship experience for our student athletes on the golf side to be able to go down to play at an elite facility down in Georgia. It'll be a lifetime memory, just like it was for our swimming athletes to go out to Ohio and compete out there in what was just a first-rate, top-shelf facility. So those are the experience we want to deliver. We want to deliver championship experiences to our student athletes, whether we're able to compete and earn championships or not. And we want them to leave LeMoyne feeling like, hey, those were the best 4 years of my life, and certainly athletics played a large role in that.
Yeah, and like you said, that championship experience, that the regular season, non-conference play, conference play, tournaments and whatnot are going to provide a championship type experience. And, I think we've seen that in so many different ways. I think we saw it in basketball and trips to Colorado and California and just these wonderful moments, and seeing the women's volleyball team go down to Florida and South Carolina, first time they had been on a plane as a team. So there's a lot to be said about the championship experience created at LeMoyne in year one already. And the final note here, NEC expansion in a good way. Talking about expansion, not getting smaller here, but expanding here. The accordion going out, not in. And the beauty of that, Bob, that we are seeing the NEC respond with the addition of Chicago State, which is independent in Division One, so they're automatically going to start for the AQ. They'll be a part of that automatic qualifier, and then seeing a reclassifying school from Division Two that has Division One men's and women's hockey, and will continue to carry that outside of the NEC because NEC doesn't have that, but they have 24 other sports. I think they're going to compete in over 20, I think it's 23 maybe that they'll be competing in when we speak on Mercyhurst University for the Lakers coming in to the NEC, like LeMoyne, like Stonehill in this reclassification. So Mercyhurst stepping up, the Lakers are there. The news was awesome. It was great. And I know that, you responded to it. You put it out on social media. They're in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we're looking at the Northeast Conference that has all but one of their schools in the Northeast, staying very true to that name, which we don't typically see in Division I conferences anymore. And Chicago State, not too far away, getting that footprint, and looking at the fact that with Merrimack leaving and Sacred Heart leaving, it doesn't take out the areas that they have, because there's still representation in Massachusetts with Stonehill, and there's representation in Connecticut with Central Connecticut State. So just what you could say about what the NEC has done since you've joined, and the fact that Chicago State and Mercyhurst will now find some matchups here against LeMoyne, and seeing another reclassifying university or college coming into the conference.
Yeah, Dan, I can't credit our commissioner enough, and the presidents in the NEC for how they've been nimble and how they've adapted to the news back in October when Merrimack and Sacred Heart announced that they were going to depart at the end of this year. And to be able to replace those two with two new schools before the academic year concludes was a tremendous performance by our commissioner. It was a great coup to get Chicago State and for us to be able to bring Mercyhurst in as well. And, again, if you look at that, Merrimack and Sacred Heart, two tremendous institutions with great legacies in the Northeast Conference and strong programs. But take a look at maybe the geographic footprint for LeMoyne. I like the trade-off because for us to go to Chicago State, it expands our reach into Chicago, which I think is outstanding for this institution. It's an easy trip. While it is a flight, direct flights from Syracuse to Chicago are pretty convenient and a whole lot, it could be a lot shorter than a 5.5 hour bus trip and a lot easier. So we like that. We just like the exposure that the Chicago State alignment will provide. And Mercyhurst, we're familiar with Mercyhurst. We've had some battles with Mercyhurst over the years, and the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head are two in men's lacrosse over the years that I've been here when we knocked Mercyhurst out of the I believe it was the semifinals on the men's side 3 years ago when I first arrived on our way to the national championship, and then they got a measure of revenge last year and knocked us out here at home, and just maybe two just outstanding lacrosse events. And we've had some battles with them over the years in basketball, so we're really looking forward to renew that rivalry. And it's a very convenient trip for LeMoyne. It's about a 2 hour trip. It's one of our shorter trips in the NEC.
Yeah.
Probably will be our shortest trip in the NEC. So we're delighted with the addition of Mercyhurst and Chicago State. We hate to say goodbye to Merrimack and Sacred Heart, but for us, we feel like the commissioner has done an outstanding job of refilling the dance card, if you will, and attracting members. And I know it's an endless, tireless chore, and I know that she's continuing to grind away and look for ways to strengthen our conference every day.
Yeah, and the final note here in this edition of AD and DT and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins, what was it like to be on the other side of it? Because, it's one thing where the presidents, the leaders, right, the athletic directors, they're sitting there saying, okay, does it make sense for us to bring in LeMoyne? But now you're on the other side of it, and now you're sitting at the table seeing what it looked like when they were talking and discussing LeMoyne, as now there's the talk and the discussion of Chicago State and Mercyhurst. So what's it like to peek behind the curtain now?
Yeah, it's nice not being the newest kid on the block anymore. And it's funny when we were discussing and putting something out on social media, even myself, I almost put it, hey, it's nice not being the new kid on the block anymore. Having said that, I'd forgotten that we already added Chicago State, so they already had supplanted LeMoyne as the new kid on the block before Mercyhurst came in. But it's any way we can help extend our brand and strengthen our conference, we're very willing. And I can tell you, our president is a leader amongst leaders in the NEC. Amongst that president group, she was very involved. I think she's on the membership committee and the finance committee, so she was deeply involved in this move, and she was able to share some things with me throughout the process. And we were really excited with the prospects of bringing Mercyhurst in. And a little bit different, being on a little less stressful, let's put it that way, being on that side of the ledger as opposed to the one that it was a lot of hard work to get to the point where we would be considered, and our staff did a great job putting us in position to do that. And then for us to get to the finish line about a year ago now, there was some stress points for sure, and you never know for sure until you get that invitation whether you're going to get that invitation. And once you do, you can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. And for us now, playing a little different role, helping others transition, because we were the most recent school to transition. So between Stonehill and LeMoyne, I'm sure that Chicago State reached out to Stonehill. I can tell you that they both folks reached out to us and just wanted some thoughts and ideas and best practices, and we're happy to help, just like people were happy to help LeMoyne as we approached others of our colleagues a year ago for some best practices.
Yeah, so not the new kids on the block anymore, and getting to see exactly what it looks like behind that curtain. And I'm not surprised that Dr. Linda Lemura, I feel like on day one, she walked in there and was like, okay, whatever this is, where's my seat going to be? What do I need to do? I mean, she is tasked with so much, and yet she handles it like a champion. And I think that her days are about 27 hours, which I know you and I both understand as well. So with that being said, Bob Beretta, AD&D exclusive to Wake Up Call in our multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College, which is also exclusive. Spring sports success, tennis starting in just a half an hour, and the NEC expansion, as well as some conversation about the NCAA as a whole. Bob, I think at this point, one of us owes the other person lunch, so we're going to have to make that happen here soon. But it's always good to see you picture in picture. I look forward to seeing you face-to-face soon.
I look forward to it, Dan. And just reminder, women's lacrosse tomorrow, senior day, 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Our softball doubleheader has been postponed because of the inclement weather, but come on out. We're going to hold a Fins Frenzy. We'll throw out some T-shirts. We got some other things going on. Come out and support women's lacrosse tomorrow. Senior day, we'd like to honor those seniors.
Yep, senior day for women's lacrosse happening at 1 p.m. on Ted Grant Field. And, of course, you have the new concession stand and restrooms available. And thank you to everyone that has supported the women's lacrosse program for all the years that you have, no matter what day they're playing and no matter what the weather. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And, Bob, as always, fins up.
Fins up, Dan.
Take care.
Bye.
See you. That coming from Bob Beretta one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take our final step aside at today's show, and we will get you ready for the weekend on Wake Up Call right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your sports card shop. It is our sports card shop of choice here at Wake Up Call. We go there for everything: singles, packs, graded cards, boxes, hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, as well as Disney Lorcana and Pokemon. You can find everything you need at GG Cards and Breaks. We also go there because it's great to support local in our central and upstate New York community and support awesome people. Josh Gideon, Anthony Campbell, and the entire team at GG Cards and Breaks, they're special. They're special, they're unique, and I can't thank them enough for taking me as an adult and bringing me back to when I was a kid and helping me to make those memories that I never thought I was going to see again in central and upstate New York. And it's the way that they do business. It's the way that they care. It's the products they have. And it's the fact that they have that personal connection. They know the teams that you love. They know the players that you love. And they go the distance. They really do, to do everything that they can for the guests that come into the store. So I can't thank them enough. And they're passionate about the hobby. They don't just sell it. They believe in it. They open cards all the time. They're constantly looking for something for their collection, something for the store. You never know what cards are going to show up in the cases. So you definitely have to not only come into GG Cards and Breaks today, but you need to come into GG Cards and Breaks tomorrow and next week and the week after that, because you never know what's going to be there. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show, as always. You were with me down in Florida. You saw our specials at the beginning of the week, and now we're back in the studio. It's been wonderful, and it's amazing how, you think about how is this all going to come together and how are we going to do this, and then God just helps you find a way and gives you a plan, and we don't miss a beat. And you got to see our specials, and we got to go live with you, and I got to spend some time with my mom and rest and relax with the most amazing mother ever. So, I just want to say I'm very thankful, and I'm thankful that you are with me through this, and you're a part of the show. And wherever you're listening, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world, and all the countries that have heard us, my family in Spain, thank you. Wake Up Call is live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the show goes live, it jumps into the archives. You'll find it on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do to find these episodes is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. and you will find all the stuff that we upload there. And what I do is I break down shows and put them as their own specials. So if you want to go back and listen to a key interview that we did that we're going to put out there, then, that'll be by itself. And we're going to have all the Liverpool pieces that we did yesterday on video. Those are going to show up as audio specials, all 3 of them with Liverpool girls lacrosse. So look out for that this weekend as well. Big time thanks to our partners in the community that you should go out and visit. So make sure that you head out to Carvel, DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, as well as Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, and Mother's Cupboard. And of course, at Carvel DeWitt, you can get my exclusive DT Dolphin at this Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. No other Carvel in the world has this DT Dolphin in connection with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. You can go and try it today and any day of the week. Mint chocolate chip ice cream, green for the Dolphins. Hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Mother's Cupboard has our exclusive sandwich you'll only find at Mother's Cupboard. Our breakfast sandwich you won't find anywhere else in the world is at Syracuse Staple Restaurant. Mother's Cupboard, that's been with us for so many years, and everybody loves this place. 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Open 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. You can get the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother is bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Over at Mother's Cupboard today. Ask for the Cuse McMother. The LeMoyne College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time. We underpromise, overdeliver. We just had a LeMoyne special just a few minutes ago with Bob Beretta and AD and DT. You will find the Dolphins Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time during Dolphin time, and AD and DT comes to you typically the first and third Wednesday of each month. You'll see the Dolphin Dive happening every second and fourth Wednesday with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And all these specials are on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll find our LeMoyne playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage, and swimming over to the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Bobcats by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell, and you will find the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. The Bobcats come to you in specials every month called the Bobcat Buzz with student athletes, coaches, and administration. We do roundtables and panel discussions unlike anything you'll see that's ever happened with Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse or anything else that we do. They are a unique college, and we provide a unique experience of getting to know their student athletes, coaches, and administration. We just had the Bobcat Takeover earlier this week, and you could go back and watch that special with the baseball team, Sean Peak, as well as DJ Hill and Dylan Hodgman, and you can see our special with the director of the Syracuse campuses for Syracuse and Liverpool, New York. That is Mary Hawkins. Don't miss out on any of that, which is right now available on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com and claw your way over to the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com to find them as well. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bearcats every Tuesday on Wake Up Call during Bearcat time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Bearcats coming to you weekly with student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories and telling the story of Binghamton University and the greater community. Our stories come to you in what's called Moments with Marshall, a monthly special featuring Athletics Director of Binghamton University, Gene Marshall, and the Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, and administration sharing their stories from that Bearcat Break Room. So always appreciate having the Bearcats on. So happy. We're only a month and some change in, and we've already underpromised, over-delivered, and provided an experience of connecting with so many different programs, as well as the leadership from Gene Marshall. Thank you to Binghamton University for believing in us. And of course, you could find Binghamton University on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll find the Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find your Bearcats by getting yourself over to wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, big time thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week and for having the DT Dolphin Sunday available 7 days a week. Thank you to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay for lead, learn, evolve, ad lib, and deliver. And thank you to Jimmer Sikowski for being our incredible and fearless leader. Big time shout out to our top dog of the week, once again, Dawn Staley, for sticking up for God and sharing her faith unapologetically. Brought to you by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, with the top dog of the week and the awesome team there with Lorraine, Chad, and the crew. And of course, a big time thanks to our exclusive multimedia marketing partner, LeMoyne College, and Mr. Bob Beretta, Athletics Director for AD and DT, and that special this week. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Go to Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, as the CNY snack capital. There is no game that is going to be better than having Ma and Pa's at. You got to have it, okay? Whether it's a game or binge watching a show or a movie, or you're traveling, or you're sitting by the pool, or you're getting yourself some sun, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, your buddy is from Ma and Pa's. Your CNY snack capital is on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, and there is no better place for your sweet and savory teeth than at Ma and Pa's. Get yourself over to Ma and Pa's today and get their favorites created right there in store for you, including all of their new freeze-dried candy, the Brain Busters, the Flavor Bursts, the Rainbow Rounds, and the Mambos are all there for you while supplies last by going over to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. We'll see you over there. I will see you, God willing, on Monday morning, and I'll talk with you in the meantime. So be safe, stay well, find us on our social media, and as I always tell you, and it's very important, God bless, no stress, do your best. Take care.